Cross down live to Harold the H. Peacock. He's going to talk about a 136-year-old discovery he's made around the Blackstone Church, is it? Yeah, g'day, mate.
Hey, good morning, Danny. Yeah, the United Welsh Church at Blackstone.
Yeah. Do you know it takes human body 12 hours to go into rigor mortis? Chickens take 1 to 2 hours, while cows need about 24 hours. I just thought I'd tell you that. Now, tell us about metal detecting.
Yeah, now that I know that, I better keep moving then, Danny, because the United Welsh Church at Blackstone, that regularly goes under when it floods.
Right.
In fact, in the 1893 floods, the water went right up to the top of the windows and destroyed the organ and all the early church records. And that's why I went and got permission to metal detect around the church, because, Danny, I wanted to find something that predates those floods and hopefully replace some of that lost history. Anyway, look, the church, it has a fascinating story, and for those who don't know it, the congregation there was started by the Welsh coal miners who came to town. And the services were all spoken in the Welsh language. Now, it became pretty popular, and they outgrew the borrowed building they were in. And so, thanks to the donation of land and the financial support of the local coal baron, his name was Lewis Thomas, a new church was built there in 1886, and that's the one that you see there today.
Get out.
It is. It's unchanged since 1886. Now, Thomas himself, he was a sturdy Welshman and one of the richest men in Queensland.
Right.
It was his mansion nearby that became known as the now legendary Blackstone Castle, on Castle Hill there.
Yes.
Now, it was demolished in 1937 because all his coal mines around it and underneath it made it unsafe. But there are pieces of his house in the Blackstone Church today.
Wow.
There's a pair of etched glass and cedar doors just inside the entry, and a cedar fireplace that was converted into a Welsh Pioneers and War Memorial.
Wow.
But, like I said, all the original records from the church's opening, they're lost because of the floods, and that's why I wanted to find some history there.
Wow.
Now, when I went metal detecting, it was in the first 12 inches of flood soil that I found historic coins. There was a halfpenny, pennies, and a shilling from as early as 1914.
Wow.
But it was below that in the harder original ground that I started to find older stuff. One thing I found was a wick feed from a huge kerosene lamp that was big enough to light up the whole church, which means it predated electricity.
Wow.
Now, it's round with a slit along the top, so the wick can pass through.
Yeah.
Now, the maker's marks on these lamps are on the end of the little knob that you turn to put the wick up and down. So without that, you can't be absolutely certain of the age. But the piece I've got, it just appears consistent with a lamp from the 1890s.
Wow.
So it's starting to get a bit of age to it. But then deeper still, about 8 inches below the surface, and that's in the older ground, I found something that's probably from the very beginning of the church.
What?
It was a brass clasp from a pulpit Bible.
Wow.
Now, look, I've found these before, and this one's consistent with being from the 1880s.
Wow.
Now, the piece I actually found was a brass corner, and the clasp that holds the Bible closed, it sort of flips up to the other half and keeps it closed. Yeah. Now, these Bibles are really big and typically have beautiful illuminated illustrations inside. And they were expensive because, look, back in the day, they were often given by wealthy benefactors to celebrate the opening of a church. So, Danny, this Bible clasp that I found, there's every chance that what I found wasn't only from the original congregation and used on the day that the church was opened in 1886, but that it was actually given and first used by that legendary Ipswich coal miner, Lewis Thomas himself. So you never know what history you might find until you look. So I found that history that predated the church from the very beginning.
Isn't it fantastic that you get to do this and I'd love to come metal detecting with you one day somewhere, because I find it fascinating.
Well, look, I'll arrange something nearby, in fact, but I wanted to tell the story of the Welsh United Church and the coal mining history, because in 2 weeks' time, it's the 50th anniversary of the Box Flat mining disaster. That awful events back on the 31st July 1972, when 17 Ipswich miners lost their lives. So in 2 weeks' time, we should remember those horrible events because the families are still with us today.
Yep. And I'll remember it as a kid at St Lawrence's College. Mate, once again, you've killed them. How do we find out about this story and many other stories about Ipswich?
Yes, Lou, they're all online on historyouthere.com.
There he is, ladies and gentlemen. Harold the H. Ark. You got to be ready to arc when I want you to arc.
Sorry,
okay?
I was. You caught me off guard.
Peacock.
Shall we try it again?
Historyouthere.com, and there he goes, Harold the H. Ark. Peacock on West Bremer Radio.